Alright guys, Arsenal have just beaten Fulham by 3 goals to 0 in a game where they just won the game in the first half, plain and simple. I think no one really felt as though Fulham were going to have much of a chance of winning this game without, for me, their best player this season, João Palhinha, in midfield. As I think the performance they put in on Monday night against Brentford in the 3-1 loss, 3-1 I think it was, it was a poor performance as well as results. So not many people were expecting them to get much out of today's game. I think Fulham are a significantly better team at home than away though, so I think that was the only real way I could see Fulham getting anything out of this game was if the fans properly got behind them and they had a good start to the game, which they didn't. It was mostly just all Arsenal in the first half. They got the 3 goals. The opening goal, well, before the opening goal, Gabriel Martinelli actually had the ball in the that's a lie. Martinelli had the shot that came back off Anthony Robinson for the first goal, but Martinelli was just offside, so it was disallowed. And then we saw a bit of a Leandro Trossard assist masterclass. I think they were saying it was only I can't remember if they said that Mkhitaryan did it in 2018-19 or if it was the first hat-trick of assists for Arsenal since Cesc Fabregas against Blackburn in 2009. And funnily enough, I actually remember watching that game. I was only 6 at the time, so that's a while ago. But Trossard was absolutely superb. The first corner, brilliant. Gabriel, good header. And, it was just absolutely brilliant football to watch from Arsenal in the first half. The second goal, who did it come from? Martinelli. I thought the second goal showed a lot of what Fulham were like in the first half. That there wasn't a real... I don't know, that it didn't feel like the desire to win was there as much as it was for Arsenal, because you see Arsenal break forward, Granit Xhaka gets the ball in space, and the one player who typifies it all for me, and I think Harrison Reed has had a very good season for Fulham this year, probably his best ever Premier League season, I would go as far as saying. But it wasn't good enough for this goal. The fact that he's just jogging back, you need to be like busting a gut to get back and get level with play rather than just lag behind. And Xhaka brings it forward, and eventually Trossard gets it in space on the left hand side of the box and just stands it up for Martinelli. And the other mistake for this goal was Anthony Robinson. Well, it's not, I don't even know if you can call it a mistake, but it's just cowardly, to be honest, the fact that he didn't challenge for the ball properly. Just lets Martinelli get his head on it, and without any real challenge, he's just sort of bends over behind him and just sort of like tries to put him off a little bit. But the reality is, Martinelli, he's not small, but he's not a big player, whereas Robinson has got a bit of height, and you'd expect him to be a bit more physical and be able to win that header. Even though it is stood up well by Trossard, and then Arsenal just started playing some of the best free-flowing football you'll see any team play in the league this year. Granit Xhaka had the opportunity to score a quite wonderful goal where he just dummied a pass from Ødegaard into him and left it for Trossard. Trossard played it round the corner, and Xhaka, for some reason, it just looked like he didn't know what to do once he got in that position. I think Xhaka's been a really important player for Arsenal this year, but I don't think the fluid style of football they play it suits him to be in a team that plays it, but it doesn't really suit him to be the one that's doing the little intricate things. That's more Ødegaard's game, and the players around him, Saka, Martinelli, Trossard, that's more their type of football. Even Zinchenko when he gets forward, but he just got into the position, got the ball, took a heavy touch, and just, I don't know, completely panicked and played it straight into the keeper. Like, not even he didn't even get a shot off. He just touched it straight into Bernd Leno's hands. and that could have put the game to bed. But the game was put to bed by Martin Odegaard just before half time. And again, another one where you could look at it and say that it's just poor defending from Fulham, really, because Trossard plays it into him, and it's just poor from Fulham to allow Odegaard to have that many touches in the penalty area. Like, he must have had more touches in the penalty area in that moment than I reckon Fulham had in the entire first half. I don't know how many they had in the first half, but he just danced his way past a couple of Fulham defenders and got the shots off really easily. And there was no pressure on him when he did take the shot. So yeah, not good enough defending from Fulham at all, to be honest. And second half, yeah, Fulham, it was going to be really unlikely that they were ever going to, win the game or get anything out of it. I mean, Arsenal have conceded a 4-goal lead before, back in 2011. I think it was February against Newcastle, when I'm going to try and name all the scorers here. Joey Barton scored 2 penalties, I believe. Czech Tiote obviously scored the equaliser. I've got a feeling Leon Best scored. So I think they were the 4 scorers when Arsenal went 4-0 up at St James's Park in 2011. But it was always going to be a difficult task for Fulham to get anything out of this game. But they gave it a good go, to be fair. Second half, it was an even game, don't get me wrong. Arsenal had absolutely nothing to attack for anyway. They just had to make sure that they didn't completely collapse at the back, and they didn't do that at all. They did bring Gabriel Jesus and Reece Nelson on towards the end of the game, and Jesus was a bit unlucky to not score a really nice worked goal where he does a lovely flick into the path of Fabio Vieira, who also came on as sub, and Vieira plays it back into him, and Leno saves it. But that would have been a brilliant moment for Gabriel Jesus on his return from injury. And I think also, now that Jesus is back, you've got to look at when the news came out that Jesus would miss a significant portion of the season, and say that Arsenal haven't collapsed at all. They've managed to cope without him, because that was a big question. And I think Nketiah did well when he initially came into the team to replace Gabriel Jesus because of injury. But the thing with Nketiah is, I think the fact that he did really well in getting the goals, and he's a clinical finisher, brilliant striker, probably the best goal scoring striker Arsenal have got, let's be honest. But it felt as though that there were a couple of players in the team who weren't really a benefit to having Nketiah in the team. I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but I thought that Gabriel Martinelli, his game sort of suffered a little bit due to Nketiah being in the team, because what you get from Nketiah is you get someone who's going to stay within, I'd say, the width of the penalty area. He's not going to drift out wide like Leandro Trossard or Gabriel Jesus are going to. So I think Trossard and Jesus, if you want to bring Martinelli into the game, I think that they're better at doing that, because Martinelli is someone who likes to drift inside, whereas Bukayo Saka is going to be someone who stays out wide, picks up the ball, and then tries to bring it into play. So Martinelli's someone who's always going to look to run in behind. Saka can do that, but Saka can also come short for the ball, or find space where he can have the ball to feet rather than running onto it. So I think having Trossard and Jesus is definitely going to be, a huge boost for Arsenal, having them to choose from. And I think Nketiah is a great option to have off the bench if Plan A isn't working, because he has showed at times this season that he can score when Arsenal need it most. Like, obviously, I think he scored twice in the 3-2 win against Man United, if I remember correctly, or he at least scored the winner. He scored an important goal against West Ham. I think they went 1-0 down in that game back around Christmas time, just after the World Cup break. So Nketiah has scored, important goals this season, and he did a similar thing in a couple of games towards the end of last season. I remember he had a brilliant game against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in a 4-2 win. So, you know, it's not like Nketiah is not good enough to play for Arsenal. I just think with the style of football that Mikel Arteta gets Arsenal playing, I think there's a role for him within the team, but that might not necessarily be within starting 11 the way it's going currently in the players that Arteta has in that starting 11. So, you know, it's there's definitely a role for Nketiah in this team. I've got to spoke about Nketiah so much in this video, and he didn't even play today. But you know, it's just going to be a huge boost for having Gabriel Jesus back, I believe. But Fulham second half, that they gave it a bit more of a go, got in some good positions, and I think had the chance that Pereira had right at the beginning of the half. It wasn't an easy opportunity, but it does brush Saliba's hand. Now, I don't think it's hard to say, because it's definitely there's no way at all that Saliba can intend that. Because we obviously the conversation about the penalty that Liverpool were given at Bournemouth yesterday. Adam Smith, it's hard to tell whether he's intended it. I would say he's not intending to hand the ball, but he has jumped with his arms up. So I think that's what gave the penalty away, and it is a shot on goal. This is also a shot on goal from Pereira, and it may well have gone in. But I think just purely because Saliba's hands are in a natural position, I think is the reason why it can't really be given as a penalty. But I don't think it would have been like a criminal decision to give the penalty. I wouldn't have given the penalty personally, but you know, if things like that had gone Fulham's way, it could have been a different second half if they had got a bit more momentum going and the fans had got on side. And you know, the big miss was just the midfield and the intensity in the first half. I think that was a big problem in Monday night's game. They were lucky to get an equaliser before half time on Monday, and I think going into half time like level on Monday really didn't help Fulham, because I think second half Marco Silva could have, you know, properly G'd them up and got them going, but I think having the equaliser before half time, he maybe thought that's what they need and relaxed it a little bit, and then that's where Brentford struck. So yeah, but Arsenal are just carried on. This could have been a tricky fixture, but they made it look easy today. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.